Bailey, you lead our IPO coverage. We're going to talk about SpaceX and the fantastic reporting that you and the team have done around it. Before we do that, though, as we just heard from Charlie, we're seeing a major sell-off today with some of the chip names really leading the charge lower. Your view on this equity market, especially as tech has been leading the way, giving back some of these historic gains?
I mean, Tim, I go to Italy for about 2 weeks, and the market's at an all-time high.
We missed you.
On no news, though, Tim. No news happens.
Yeah.
The market goes up. No one bats an eye. We see 2 days of weakness, and all of a sudden, the sky is falling. Just want to call out the fact that, yes, the Philadelphia Semiconductors Index is down more than 9.5% right now. It's up 74% year to date. If anyone told you that, that would be the case sitting here on June 5th. I think they would take that. NASDAQ 100, of course, down 5% from its all-time high on Tuesday. It does seem like a bit of consternation. I think the big question when I talk to investors is, what's the next move for the Fed? And it does seem increasingly that the logical answer has to be a hike, whether that's later this year, whether that's early next year. Obviously, we'll see how the economic data play out. But it does seem like kind of a natural way to take your foot off the gas pedal going into a weekend. Obviously, we're still living in breathing everything that comes from the White House. But the big question at the end of the day is this a market that did nothing but go up for a number of weeks, if not months, for no real reason? And what kind of lies ahead? And obviously, there's going to be a big IPO next week that'll be interesting to track as well.
You know, having said that, Bailey, I do feel like this is a moment in time where there's just such a FOMO trade, especially when it comes to AI and tech and even some of these IPOs, which we're going to dig into in just a moment. We talked with John Flood over at Goldman Sachs earlier, and he tracks hedge funds and institutional investors and did talk about the hedging that these folks are doing so that they're not all in on everything. Do we see any of that? Do we see a rise in short positioning at all? Do we see anything that kind of says, all right, people are enthusiastic, but they're also playing this smart?
I think there is kind of that sense when you look at some of the data that we see and others track. It does seem like dips are being bought in the sense that some of these memory stocks are being added to. Today, we did see people taking protection over the last few weeks as it relates to some of those higher flyers. But Carol, it still is an interesting market where you do see certain short positions rising, but in other pockets of the market, you're still seeing exuberance or even just shades of exuberance as it relates to what the future could hold. So we're seeing a lot continuing to play out. The big thing has been this is a market that when I look back over a few days ago even, I expected to see a sharper pullback, and coming into today we were down 89
So I just want to point
NASDAQ. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't be sorry. It's like a lot coming at us. We're looking at, if we look at the chart, kind of a slope down on all these major equity averages, and we are now down about 4.5% or more than 4% on the NASDAQ 100. So we continue to see selling into the close here, Tim.
Yeah, Bailey, does it change? Does it? I know one day does not make a market, and especially given the rapid move higher going back to the end of March that we've seen, especially with tech. As I mentioned earlier this week, the NASDAQ 100 was up more than 30% just from March. The SOX was up more than 90% earlier this week, still up, as Carol mentioned, more than 70%. Does it change? I'm not going to say does it change the timing, but does it change the environment that SpaceX goes public in?
I think anyone who says that the NASDAQ 100 down almost 5% in a single day doesn't matter is probably lying to you. But I do think, listen, I'll give you the summary that I've been giving people. Okay. It's been 5 months ago, we and others reported that SpaceX wanted to raise $75 billion at a $1.75 to $1.8, maybe $2 trillion valuation. That was 5 months ago. Here we are in June and it's happening. They set a fixed price a few days ago for this IPO. If there ever was a deal that has been as transparent or the worst kept secret, it's this one. So anyone who's now all of a sudden saying, the NASDAQ 100's down 4.5%, I actually can't cut the check to SpaceX that I thought I could a week ago. Well, where were you when the market was in a bit more turmoil? And I think that's just one thing that I think people have to keep in mind, that we've been talking about this for months. This isn't a deal that came out of left field. It's not a deal that started with a price range that was north of $2 trillion and they have to sell investors on that notion. This is something that bankers in the company have been, at least through our reporting and others, been pretty open and very clear about.
The demand that we're already seeing right now for this IPO next week, how would you characterize it?
It's expected. I mean, 75
So
billion.
nothing off the charts, nothing surprising.
No, I think this is, again, we know that the company did one-on-one meetings at Starbase with some of the biggest portfolio managers in the world back in January.
Does it need to do that? Everybody sees what the rockets do.
Well-
Everybody knows who Elon Musk is.
Tim, I'm going to direct you to some of our reporting and say that
Please.
This is a company that a year ago was a space monopoly, and now they're pitching a $26.5 trillion AI market. This is a company that, when you look at the sell side models that we were able to get our hands on, analysts are penciling in AI to bring in $755 billion in sales in 2031, according to Evercore ISI research analysts. That was $3.2 billion last year. So there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of hopium, but this is a company that before the XAI merger was strictly a space company, and now we're seeing the magic of Elon Musk, or at least people being excited about what AI could bring and what orbital data centers could bring. And I tuned into that conversation Musk had with Jamie Dimon yesterday, talking about making Star Trek reality. Yes, this is all Elon Musk, but this is something we saw play out with Tesla, and we're going to see it play out with SpaceX.
Well, as people reminded us at the Bloomberg Technology Summit yesterday, Bailey, never count Elon out. Just about 30 seconds. I think
Yeah,
what's
that
going
was
to be
Trey Stevens at Anduril with his conversation with Ed Ludlow. He said, "Don't bet against Elon."
Exactly. What will be key, though, is how this stock, once it IPOs, trades in the months right after. Just quickly.
Yeah, it'll be critical. And I think even day one will be closely watched. If 30% of this does get allocated to retail, north of $20 billion, we've never seen that. So it's going to be key for markets and for the company, hands down.
Gotta say, it is a fun time to be covering markets, right,
Yeah,
Bailey?
don't go back to Italy next week.
Yeah.
Really.
I came back and all of a
Some
sudden
SpaceX
everything was
stuff
still
to
going
do.
crazy. Madness.
Yeah, I agree that you can kind of disappear, come back, and crazy still exists.